So the day has finally come. Bethesda finally updated Starfield and added some much needed quality of life features that I figured we could go through today and see if they actually make a big difference, because I've tried to go back to Starfield over the last few months, and I'll tell you what, this game seems to actively want me to not like it. So in honor of the event, we're gonna have Todd himself join us, maybe right there, so he can watch over us. And he is going to show us the ropes of how we should go about playing Starfield to get the most enjoyment out of it. Also, I will just apologize for my voice. As you can tell, I am feeling a little sickly do, so I will probably not make this video particularly long because I feel like hot steamy garbage. But you know the old saying, a YouTuber never rests because his entire life is rest. So he can't complain about hard work because, let's be honest, his job isn't very hard. I think it was Mark Twain who said that, I'm not sure. So like I said, I've been trying to get back into Starfield actively because I have videos to make on it. I want to delve into it a little bit deeper. But every time I go into it, I run into technical problems, crashes, bugged quests. It just seems like it doesn't want me to play it. So hopefully this patch has introduced some fixes to that stuff. In the patch notes, they describe pretty much everything that's in here. So they've added the ability to ingest food and drink items upon finding them in the environment. So you don't have to pull up like your actual menus and stuff. You can just eat them directly. That's cool. It also introduces NVIDIA DLSS support for PC players, which for me is a dream come true, because before this they only supported FSR2, which is AMD's solution for this sort of upscaling tech, and it's fine, but it's way worse than DLSS is. So to actually have full native DLSS support now is going to be awesome. It also will bring DLSS frame generation as well. So I'm really excited to see how this runs now with DLSS support. I can't wait to really push this game to its limits with that. I'm hoping this can get us like well over 100 frames. That would be awesome. They describe other things such as memory related issues and leaks, GPU performance optimizations, rendering, threading models, improving CPU usage, especially and notably on higher end systems. That's going to be really cool to see. All sorts of things with stealth adjustments, ability to eat food placed in the world, like I mentioned, NPCs, fix an issue that could prevent players from firing their weapons. I ran into that, so that's really cool. Oh, and look at this. They fixed a rare issue that could cause the home ship to be lost. I actually saw a TikTok from a member of our community over on Luke Stevens Live, my second channel for live streams and clips and highlights and stuff. We also stream on Twitch. Shout out if you join over there. But one of the community members over there, they ran into this issue, made a TikTok out of it, and it was fascinating because basically it just causes your home ship to glitch out and you can't get it back no matter what you do. So you're just stuck wherever you are on whatever planet. There's nothing you can do, but they fixed it. So that's cool. And then you can see all sorts of graphical improvements, quests that are fixed and adjusted so they don't break anymore, all sorts of really, really cool stuff. So I'm hoping that this is a pretty foundational and significant update, and we're gonna see. Oh, and real quick before I forget, thank you to the sponsor of this video, Apex Gaming PCs. You guys know I love to brag about my RTX 4090 crazy gaming behemoth monstrosity of a computer, and it's because the thing is amazing. They are the official PC partner of Luke Stevens. I use an Apex Gaming PC every day of my life. Like, I cannot recommend them enough. I use it day to day, of course. And so not only can you expect fair pricing and a team putting the PC together that really knows their stuff and has been doing this professionally for a long time, but you can also customize it to your heart's content. And when you're done with the customization, you order it, they build it, ship it off to you carefully. And right out of the box, you have a gaming PC that you can just plug and play. It's a dream come true. So if you've been looking to get into PC gaming, but you just don't know where to start, or if you just don't want to be bothered with the complexities of building it and wiring it yourself, go to the professionals that I trust and use, Apex Gaming PCs. I can't recommend them enough. Again, check them out at the link in the video description box below or in the pinned comment. You'll support the channel, you'll support the stream and all of that stuff, and you'll be getting yourself a pretty kick-ass computer while you're at it. Anyway, back to what we were saying. Okay, and here we are in the game. Now, this is a late game save. I'm not going to do any new game plus or anything for sake of spoilers, so don't worry about that. We're not gonna be doing any sort of end game content narratively, so if you're worried about spoilers, don't be. I do want to test out some of these graphical improvements, so we're just going to select sort of a random spot and land there, and after a quick load, those never get old, do they? We're going to pop out and let's see just how well we can get this thing to run. But okay, so up here, as you can see, we're up at like 100-ish frames a second, and this is with FSR2 enabled. And if we go to settings, you can see all of everything we've got set here. I'm gonna crank all of this to ultra and see where we're sitting so we can go off of the same stats for absolutely everything. Okay, and with everything cranked, now we're in like the high 90s, low 100s for absolutely everything. And again, that's with FSR2 enabled. And it generally does a good job. You can see some aliasing off in the distance, but I mean, frankly, for rendering at 90% scale, this is not bad, absolutely playable. It's gorgeous in a lot of ways, also with the soft fog in the distance. I think this is, you know, very serviceable. And then if we go into display settings and we go down and we actually turn FSR off completely, you'll see now it's just gonna render at native. And if we back out, let's see if something weird happens. Yeah, we actually see increased performance, which doesn't make sense. Listen, I'm not a scientist. I don't really know what's going on here. Maybe Todd knows, but it seems to me that when you have FSR2 enabled and it renders at a lower resolution and then upscales, you should see better performance with that enabled than when you turn it off completely. But for whatever reason, we get like an extra 10 frames when we turn it off. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just that it's really inefficient. I have no clue, but that is something that's been present since the game launched. And I must be missing something because I don't understand it. But I guess now that we have a baseline of kind of what the game looks like and runs like in this case, you know, high 90s, low 100s, if we turn on DLSS 3.0, ooh, baby, I'm gonna go quality. Let's go quality. Frame generation on, low latency on. Okay, and then we back out. Let's see what we're dealing with. Oh, baby, 164 frames a second at 4K with DLSS set to quality. And I will tell you what, immediately I can tell a difference. I know it probably doesn't come through in like the 60 FPS capture because it just can't capture all the nitty-gritty detail, but wow. I absolutely can tell a difference immediately. You know what? It's a little refreshing to have an update from Bethesda where I'm like, this is just good. This is awesome. I know we gave them crap for a modder being able to put DLSS into the game day one, like literally the first day it launched in early access, but then it took them like 3 months to officially release it. Of course, there's regulations they have to follow. There's all sorts of approvals they have to pass. And so it's not as simple as just patching it in with a hot fix, of course. But now that it's here officially and we have DLSS 3.0 enabled with frame generation, man, this is like a whole new game in terms of performance. I am a happy camper now. Now we have the ability to just nitpick over things we see in the distance with like low model detail and stuff like that, you know, strange polygon counts and far off things. You're also like, it's really easy to tell how many of these bush things are like old tree stumps. I don't know what they are, but they're all just copied all over with the procedural tech. Those are really low poly. It's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. Normally when you scope a weapon, the like level of detail, the LOD increases to whatever you've scoped to, but in this case it just doesn't. It's a little weird. But to test this out, let's actually start moving through the game and run off to a point of interest in the distance. Now, this will give us plenty of time to talk about kind of where Starfield is now, because there's a lot of space between points of interest on these planets. So if you want to run to them, you have to do just that. Run on foot, manually, all the way, very slowly until you reach it. And yeah, you have a jetpack that can help a little bit, but it doesn't actually change your forward movement speed. It just changes your upward and downward motion. So it doesn't actually help you move any faster. It just seems like it should. So it kind of tricks your brain into thinking that. But here's the thing, like these updates that Bethesda is doing are great. They help it run better and I'm happy to have them, and I will sing their praises when they release this stuff because it does actually make the game better and more enjoyable to play, especially on PC where these updates have mostly been concentrated. But the core issues with Starfield are still here, like these design decisions with very slow traversal on planets, no vehicles like rovers or anything to get between them faster, very small fish bowls to explore that are all very samey with the exact same models repeated thousands of times throughout that fish bowl. All of those things are still here. The constant load screens are still here. All of the optimizations to like memory management and stuff that should help those load times be faster. But again, they're still there. It's not like they're getting rid of them or anything. As far as I'm aware, there's no way to really patch them out, because the way the creation engine handles these things is it's almost like its own separate scene. So if you want to load into a building, it is a separate scene that has to be loaded in, and the player's basically warped over there. It's not like you're loading inside the building and then the interior loads in that same space. You're actually warping to a different scene entirely. And okay, 5 minutes later, we actually arrive at the outpost. Whoop-de-freaking-do. But it's civilians, so we're just gonna have to make our own fun. Bloop. Oh, they're level 30. Oh God. I will say, I think that the combat in Starfield is better than people give it credit for. I think, you know, it's really easy to hate on it because when it's not working well, it doesn't work well at all. But generally, it's pretty smooth. It's pretty snappy. You know, the guns feel pretty good. Sometimes hit registration's a little off, but what are you gonna do? Oh my God. I take back everything I said. Oh God. But anyway, there's a lot of things about Starfield I do like, and what I said in my review back when the game launched was that I think it's a pretty good game. It just has a lot of really weird design choices that I think really restrain its potential. Like, I think if they had, for example, instead of 1,000 planets in 100 systems, if they had done one solar system and 5 planets that they really focused on, making sure the exploration was fluid and you could actually travel the whole planet and it's all procedural and crazy, I think that would have worked way better. Because frankly, Bethesda Game Studios are at their best when they're crafting places like Neon, when they're crafting places by hand with environmental storytelling and ambient storytelling just based on things you see and hear while exploring. That's when they're at their absolute best. And with Starfield, mostly, you just don't see that. You'll see it in areas like this, but you don't actually see it in the moment-to-moment gameplay of exploring, which is what's so weird about it. It's like they took the one thing they were really, really good at and then designed a game around avoiding engaging with that thing they were really good at. It's really, really bizarre. You know, it's like Rockstar is amazing at these open worlds that just are really dynamic and lively, and the attention to detail is crazy. And then they decide that they're going to make like a linear puzzle game that's all in like 8-bit art style, and it just doesn't at all fit with their modus operandi. And you're just like, I'm sure it's probably fun. It's okay, I'm sure, but like, this isn't where you're at your best. Like, this is not where your talents lie, you know? And listen, a lot of people love Starfield, and I don't want to hate on them, but I have been shocked at just how much the community has actually leveled out on the amount of hype surrounding Starfield. In fact, I just saw today that Starfield apparently has dropped to a mixed rating on Steam as more and more players have been voting on it, claiming that it is Bethesda's most mediocre game to date. Is a selection of a particular review that they pulled out in this case. But the specific stats are on Steam, Starfield's rating has dropped to mixed across the board, with just 48% of the almost 6,000 user ratings in the last 30 days being positive. Overall, the 75,000 ratings submitted since the game's launch, 69% have been positive. In comparison, both Skyrim and Fallout 4 are sitting with very positive ratings. Now, obviously, elephant in the room, just to acknowledge it, Todd, is that this was on Game Pass day one, so a lot of players played it there, and so the voting pools are going to be very, very different. So we have to acknowledge that, but it does certainly represent a change in mood towards the game that was not present at launch. And I gotta hand it to the people over on the Starfield subreddit. There are many people who are like, straight up, I enjoy it, but I see why people wouldn't. And this is the general response that a lot of people have expressed themselves, like this one from King Merklino. It's crazy to me that I keep trying to play it after completing the story and I find myself logging off after a few minutes. A game with such large scope feels completely uninteresting to me, and that's the biggest shock. I went back and played some other Fallouts and some Skyrim and Oblivion to find that maybe the magic is just missing from Starfield. And I think that it's all just tied into the fact that Starfield is a procedural game, and the magic of Skyrim and Oblivion and Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 is all tied up in the handcrafted environmental storytelling and questing and things like that. The attention to detail that they were so great at. And Starfield just doesn't have very much of it. There's some of it in like major keystone locations in the main story, But after that story's over, you're just done. Like, yeah, you can run around 1,000 planets and technically have endless stuff to do, but it's going to be the same exact stuff you've been doing for hundreds of hours and will be doing for hundreds of hours more. For some people, that's exactly what they need and want. But for a lot of other players, it's just not the same as the magic of exploring Skyrim and hoping to come over that hill and crest over it and see a cave you've never seen before. And seriously, the more of these comments you scroll through, the more consistent you'll see the response has been that it's just not what they were expecting and it didn't live up to their hype. For some people, it's amazing and it's game of the generation, whatever. I'm glad that you have that. But I'm still shocked at just how many of these diehard fans have been converted to the tribe of skepticism after all of this. And this is why, you know, before the game launched, I was trying to push the hype makes you stupid thing. We sold a t-shirt for it. Links below, as you can see in the shop tray. We tried to push all that stuff because I think it's true. When you are hyped, sorry, Todd, it puts on blinders and you can't see the reality before you that no, the Creation Engine 2 is not magically a new engine. It's just marketing. Like, I can't believe I have to say this, but I do. You know, I've mentioned it in our live streams. I was working on a collaboration with a YouTuber that does a lot of content around Starfield and Bethesda games and stuff. And we were working on a video to collaborate on right before Starfield launched. And it was specifically a video I wanted to make discussing the Creation Engine 2. And I told this individual that I wanted the video to basically be a debunking of how the Creation Engine 2 was this magical panacea, that it was going to fix all of the problems of Bethesda's game design and all of those bugs and glitches and stuff we've seen for years and years would all be fixed because the Creation Engine 2 is magical. I wanted to come in, do a video with this guy that had a lot of fanboys in his audience and debunk it and talk people off the cliff. And he backed out of that collaboration, just straight up ghosting me, because I would assume, and I know this for a fact, which is why I'm not saying any names or anything, but he ghosted me on it because it seemed like he thought that the Creation Engine 2 actually was that. He had bought into the hype himself, and so he didn't want to make a video debunking it because he had bought into it. And now the game's launched, and I think everybody can see kind of what I was trying to say all along, which is that, yeah, shocker, the Creation Engine 2 is not magic. It's the same damn thing, just with a 2 next to it. And listen, maybe this is just me preaching to the choir, but I want you to take this message out to the masses because it doesn't just apply to Starfield. It applies to absolutely everything. When you get hyped for a game, it puts those blinders on and you stop thinking rationally. And for a lot of people, they paid an extra $35 to play this early, or they paid for the $100 version on Steam to play it early, when it just wasn't going to be that remarkable of a game anyways. So they potentially wasted their money because they bought into the hype. And that can, especially in a time like this when money's tight for a lot of people, that is just such a huge bummer. I don't know I don't know how else to phrase it than like big bummer, mad L's, bro. Like, it's so frustrating to me that content creators will be so haphazard with their recommendations and encouraging people to get hyped. It's so irresponsible to me because, like, if I hype you up for a game and then the game ends up being kind of I feel like I misled my audience and that they ended up spending money on stuff that they probably shouldn't have. And I feel like I bear some of that burden. But a lot of these creators will just casually hype their audience up for a game that they don't really know anything about. And then it launches and a bunch of people are disappointed and they just move on to the next game to hype that up. And it's so stupid. Like, I love Todd's games as much as the next guy, but he's not a magic wizard in every way. He's magical in a lot of ways, but he's not like this magician who can just make Bethesda's problems go away that have been present forever. His games will still have the same problems they've always had until they make major changes. And when they make those changes, it'll be very clear that things will be different. But for now, you know, seeing Starfield running better is great. A lot of those little improvements that they've made are welcome additions, but the game is still the same game we had before, and that's not going to change. Maybe modders can work some magic and alter it significantly, but the core issues with Starfield go much deeper than just quick cosmetic fixes or an additional quest here and there or another quest line on a different planet. Like, every part of this game from the ground up has been crafted around, I think, a flawed assumption, which is that more content equals good content or fun content. And that's just not true. It just isn't. But to their credit, I've had the game running for about 30 minutes now, and it has not crashed yet, which is more than I can say for the last time I tried to run the game, which when I did that earlier this week, it did in fact hard crash and cause my entire PC to reset. So this is a step forward. You know, more than anything, I'm just hoping that Bethesda hears the feedback from players and they learn from it. I think it's such a travesty that so many players will like just hype up games and studios they like. Oh my God. Oh my God. There you go. And you know, it doesn't actually help anything. Like if you just lie to Todd and be like, oh yeah, the constant load screens are totally fine, nobody cares. It won't help the Elder Scrolls 6. Like the Elder Scrolls 6 will be just as screwed if you tell the truth versus not. But at the very least, if you tell him the truth, he can take steps to improve it potentially and like avoid those same problems that plagued Starfield. If you're not honest though, and if everybody starts acting like, oh no, it's totally fine and acceptable, and you just hand wave it away, Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be a disaster, man. Like if Starfield was disappointing, imagine if Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't live up to the hype. Like, gee whiz. But okay, the last thing I'll say is just, while we were streaming a few weeks ago, I put up a survey, a poll. And I asked all of you lovely guys and girls if after Starfield you were more, the same, or less excited or hyped or interested for the Elder Scrolls 6. In other words, did Starfield make you more excited or less? And a whopping 45% of players said you were less excited for the Elder Scrolls 6 after playing Starfield than before you went into it. And that to me is one of the most horrifying statistics for Todd and his team to deal with. I'm sorry, buddy. Oh no, is he gonna tip? Oh, he's close. He's been through a lot. This cardboard has been through a lot. But seriously, that should be horrifying for Todd and his team, because every game should make you more excited for the next one to come. It's very bad if like the latest and greatest from your team is actively pissing off your fan base or making them lose faith and trust in your abilities. You know, I don't need to tell you why that's bad, but that's real bad. Hey buddy, hello. Oh, he lit himself on fire. Oh, that's funny. Oh no, he's glitching, look. Okay, well, you know what? I said like a couple minutes ago we had been playing Starfield for half an hour without like crashes or major bugs or anything. So I guess I was tempting fate a little bit, but yeah, it's a Bethesda game, all right. Golly, man. Let's just take it in. I was wondering where this guy was. I was like, he's somewhere. He's like clipping into the map or something. I can't find him. Why won't he die? Just die. Is he invulnerable? I can't tell. Is he straight up invulnerable or is he like a tank? Let me go up with a shotgun. I think he might be invulnerable because the game thinks he's like inside or something. Oh no, it's the adoring fan. I'm stupid. He's my friend. That's why. I mean, I want to kill him because he's annoying, but he's still bugging out. Okay, ignore me. You guys are in the comment section like, Luke, you moron. It's your companion. I don't. Yeah, man, I'm sick. I'm not even here right now. You know, part of me was kind of hoping that this would go really well and all of a sudden I would have like a magic. Hello. I was hoping I'd have like a magic realization of like, oh, Starfield's actually amazing. I'm gonna play this while I'm on death's door with this sickness and laying in bed, drowning in ZQL. But instead, I think I'm just going to probably keep playing Dave the Diver and Baldur's Gate 3, like an American. So I don't know what else to say. Starfield's got a new patch and it seems to make the game run a lot better. It's a lot smoother, but it's still the same game as always. fans are kind of turning on it and seem to be fed up with Bethesda's crap, which I think is really good for the long-term health of Bethesda, that they see that fans are not going to put up with the same game from 15 years ago just reskinned. So I think that's awesome to see. And you know what? At the end of the day, when you expect and demand more from these companies, they have to raise the bar and meet that standard in order to please you, the customer. So it means that you're going to get better products at the end of the day. And I think that that should be the goal. Like, honestly, you should expect more from BGS, from Xbox, because these companies have hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars at play at any given moment on these projects. They can do better if they want to. If Bethesda wanted to get rid of the load screens constantly popping up, they could have. It wasn't a priority. If they wanted to get rid of all the bugs at launch, they could have. It wasn't a priority because they knew that they could release it in this state and it would still be received just fine by their audience, which has happened. But as time has gone on, people have burnt out of the game very, very quickly. And now you see even diehard Bethesda fans going like, yeah, I'm not surprised it wasn't nominated for Game of the Year. Yeah, it wasn't quite that good. And that's shocking. Because even back in 2015, people were still saying that Fallout 4 should take Game of the Year over The Witcher 3 and Overwatch and Bloodborne and all those other games. And this time around, everybody's like, yeah, no, it makes sense. Totally get it. It's a fascinating reversal of fortunes, but it's just going to force Todd to do better. And he can. Because I like, honestly, we love to meme on this guy, but he is a phenomenal game designer. He's very, very capable, and so is his team. And now they have the Xbox money. Like, they have Xbox money behind them. If they wanted to do better and do some amazing things, now they can. You just have to demand it, and they'll rise to the occasion, I have no doubt. But you know what? My voice is going out, as you can probably tell. I sound like a dying hyena, so I'm going to go to bed and drink some tea. Thank you for watching. I love you all dearly. And I'll see you in the next video. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.